You go ahead on to be the model now, huh?
So my moisturizers are giving you a problem.
I'm Terrell LeBeau Warren, widow of Frank Warren. Played with the New Orleans Saints from 81 to 95. And coach 1 year, from 95 to 96. Am I supposed to say that?
That's right.
Okay.
Bobby Hebert, quarterback of the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. I played with the Saints from 1985 to 92, then played with the Atlanta Falcons from 93 to 97.
I'm Steve Court. I was drafted by the Saints in 1983 as the first pick, and I played here through 1990. And I was a center and a guard.
Van Jakes, I played cornerback. Came in the league in 1983, played with the Chiefs. The Chiefs for 2 years. I went to the USFL for 1 year in 85. Then I played with the Saints from 86, 87, and 88, and finished up in Green Bay, live in Atlanta, Georgia.
I am Crystal Jakes, wife of Van Jakes of 20 years this year, and yeah, here to support.
What are some of your most memorable moments from the 1988 season?
We're very, very much at the top of the leaderboards as far as rushing and those types of things go. Our defense was always staunch, and that was just something that it was almost, when you thought of New Orleans football, you thought of defense, the first thing you thought of, because of the dome patrol and, the pressure that we could put on people and stuff like that. But we had great teams that year, and we played some teams, and that was the year, Bobby, I don't think we lost. The only AFC team I think we ever lost to was Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Think about Coach Moore, how he kind of came in with that Marine mentality, right?
Yes.
We had this thing called late is late. 30 seconds late, minute late, late is late. And it didn't matter who it was, you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And so that helped us. But the only thing is we couldn't get over the hump on some of the teams. And the Vikings was one that I looked at that they gave us a hard time because, when I would be on the sideline, I would watch them rush four guys and get pressure.
It felt like a blitz.
No, it was so tough on
what's the
them
worst thing if
because-
you play NFL quarterback? When it feels like a blitz and they're not blitzing.
That's what I mean.
Because they got 7 in coverage
Yes.
and it's time to throw.
Preceding that, 87 being the strike year, the last preseason game we had, it was in Cincinnati. And I broke the top of my shoulder off. I broke the top of my humerus off. Oh. And I was out for 9 weeks. And I remember, Mora was kind of pissed because he thought that, I should just play through that. And I'm like, my bone's it's broken. It's not even attached. I've played with a broken leg before.
Right.
So 1 year, Frank played with his back. The whole year. Afterwards, two ruptured hernia discs. He was getting shot up. And I was like, what is that?
TNS,
I hurt my back.
TENS unit
I was
stuff.
like, it hurt your back. So they sent him home with that. So he home treating with that and icing and get early and stuff like that. But he played the whole season like that. After the season, he had to have back surgery. He had to have his back completely cut.
The injuries you played through, are these things that nag you still today?
I've had both knees replaced, had shoulders, hips, low back, neck. Neck is a problem. Neck is still a problem. But, I'll say this, and this is really not maybe one of the first times I've ever said it publicly. I have taken pain medication for the past 30 years, every day. Every day. And, they can give you all the injections in your joints and all that kind of stuff, but that's a problem because am I addicted to it? Probably. I mean, I can't imagine, my doctor wouldn't let me get off it right now, just cold turkey stop it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, everything hurts on me. I have all kind of neuropathy. I can't feel the bottom of both my feet, and I've had numerous neurologists look at them. All they said is, Steve, you've beat your legs to death, as a young man, and that's That's sort of the price you pay. So I'm paying it now, but yeah, I look back and think, damn, I wish I hadn't taken all that stupid pain medicine all the time. Try to do what you want to do, but it kept me on the field, and now it kept me working after my football career, and it kept me going. It kept me being a father. It kept me doing all that stuff. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened.
When you talk about pain medicine, you talking about Advil or
No, I'm talking about opioids.
what could you share? Just kind of
Percocet, Percodan, Vicodin, all the common names for it. It's yeah, I have to take it all the time.
Now I'm gonna be 65 August 19th. Man, I thought I had this kind of beat, and but when I hit 62, I thought maybe I slept wrong. Man, my neck's killing me. I thought you slept wrong, but I've been dealing that now. I got arthritis so bad in my neck, and I think from standing in the pocket and getting hit, like the whiplash effect, like you're in a car wreck. And so, but it helped, but it's 10 right now. I get dry needling 1 week, but then it always comes back. And so, now my neck, I'm like, but no, so it's a constant reminder, but I still wouldn't give up for football and the life I've been able to live because that's so much, football was a priority. Like my knees, I can't go jog or run because then they swell up, then I got to get them drained. But right now, as long as I can go on long walks, and I can go on long walks.
Crystal. I'm wondering with Van, when did you start noticing things, and what did you notice, these differences?
It would probably be around like 2016-ish. I don't know the exact year, but that is when we kind of start noticing some differences in decision making. And we kind of attributed that to maybe some of the concussions that he had dealt with long term. It just, I think it started affecting his decision making, and that's kind of when we kind of pulled him back out of our business, and then I kind of stepped up to kind of fill that gap. But that's definitely one of the biggest things that we noticed with his memory and the decision making again. And
What kind of things? Like what kind of decisions?
Business, financial decisions maybe weren't always the best.
I just remember like one time I was going to, my son had a game, right?
Oh yeah.
And I went to the game. I'm like, where everybody at? I went to the wrong stadium. So
Yeah.
I just blew it off.
Forgetting
You
stuff.
know, and then one time I was going somewhere, and I went over these railroad tracks, and I was going to his school, and I should have been going home. It was like little
Yeah.
things were starting to happen.
got ya.
But I was just like,
Yeah.
If my wife was here at this moment, she would be dominating the conversation because there's like so many things that she has,
seen.
and put up with.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I've done. And, yeah, I think she'd be very aware she's very aware of the things that I do. And I mean, it wasn't too long ago that I had to go to the grocery store, and I was driving down the highway on the way to the grocery store. And I'm thinking, man, I feel like I've been driving for like a week. And I looked down at my speedometer. I was going 11 miles an hour.
Wow.
Sometimes I had to put my GPS on in the
Did
neighborhood.
you ever have a problem how to get home? Because I've heard.
Oh,
It
yeah.
used to be the human GPS
yeah.
could tell
It could get you
anybody how to
anywhere.
get anywhere.
I agree.
Then
I used
all
to
of
be
a
like that
sudden it
too.
was like,
Oh, you want to go there?
He's
You
not
got to take a
going
left here, right
anywhere
there.
now
And about
without a
3/4 of the
GPS.
way down, you'll see the sign. It says this.
Yeah.
I could be like that now. It's like, well, head that way. Yeah, I know.
it's definitely some things that you can notice. And I know you guys have probably dealt with some things too where you'd be like, oh, it's okay. But then we as spouses or your children may be like, my dad didn't used to be like that.
I've been on medicine called Namenda for memory for the last, how many years? 5?
At least.
5 years. Plus, I do these little brain games. It's like exercising.
I do those.
And so I do that too. And it's just to kind of, you ain't gonna get better, but
Right.
so you don't get worse.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at, trying to make sure we don't get any worse.
You know, you want to be around, like, I feel fortunate. By 2026, I'll have like 8 grandkids.
Oh, hell,
So
it's a bad son.
you want to be around for your grandkids.
Yeah.
And you know, you always appreciate your kids, but it's something about those grandkids.
I can't wait.
And then, you know,
I've got
and-
one.
yeah, and you want to be around for them. So
You know, just listening to you guys, you know, talk about.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You know, because we got a unique family. I'm gonna cut you off, let you start, give you this minute. But we was at the Hall of Fame when Sam got inducted, right? Ricky Jackson, Pat Swilling, myself, Toy Cook, Brian Ford, Coach Moore, Coach Vic, and then all of a sudden we were celebrating, and then it got sad. Sam should have been here.
yeah,
Yeah, you should have.
Sam should have been there celebrating with us
yeah.
for him going into the Hall of Fame. You know? And so,
Way too soon.
way too soon.
Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson, Terrell's husband, Frank Warren. They're among the many losses of that 1988 team.
For us, Frank actually was here, and a month later he was gone. You know, he was inducted in December the 14th. Woke up, you know, the thing was we woke up getting the kids ready to go play ball. He wasn't able to do much, you know, and I sit and I listen to you guys talking about your life where you at right now. Back then, we're talking 23 years ago, because this year will be 24, they didn't have all those things for us, for him. You know, the depression, the highs and the lows, you know, the aggression. You know, I didn't know anything about the concussion, CTE. You know, we was just going through, I'm just thinking just normally like he's just depressed because of the heart thing. You know, he go from being this big, strong man.
Gladiator.
Yes, and now you have this, they tell you you can't play ball anymore. And not only that part, you know, at this time, we had our first child, you know, but then when we get towards the end, from 96, he lived like about 6-7 years after we found out about the heart thing. But the thing about it is that it was the memory, you know, those things like that. And when they came out with I'm like, what the heck? So this been that part of that problem with the memory and the, you know, the depression. And I'm talking about depression, like dark place depressed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
We've
saying?
been
Like
there.
like you said, having to get up in the morning time. That was a struggle. And I was talking about this, who I was talking to earlier about how we was in Birmingham and he was like, you know, I don't think I could do another winter. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, my body just hurt. It hurts so much. And sometimes I wonder, you know, when you get in that place where you can't do things and you in so much pain, which he was constantly, he needed a heart transplant at this point. My husband was 43 years old when he passed.
We look at that 88 roster. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I'm thinking it's like 8 or 9 guys that
That's died
was on-
now.
like if you look at the team picture.
I mean, I could think of
That 10.
5 or 6, but I don't know if I can get to 10. Sam, Vaughn,
Craig Heyward,
Ironhead,
Steve Chirpillo,
Tony, Frank.
Frank.
That's how many fingers?
That's 7.
That's 7.
Seven.
You got 3 more. Who else?
Michael Adams.
Michael
Michael
Adams,
Adams.
defensive back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know that either.
Oh, and then you guys told me the last time that lineman,
From Cal State
big
Fullerton.
guy,
Darren Gilbert.
Darren Gilbert.
Yeah, no, I think
That's
he just.
9.
I think he just passed away this.
Couple years, a
You
year.
know, maybe a year ago, maybe not even 2 years.
What do you remember about the last times you saw Ironhead?
Well, I remember in his latter days in Atlanta, I went to see him in the hospital, and well, you could stick your whole fist in the side of his head. And I think, I don't know, using his head as a weapon.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He had a tumor that was growing in his head, but it wasn't cancerous. It wasn't malignant.
He'd be cussing, laughing. talking about people. You know how he was. He was always the same, but still that big giant, and it was hard to see.
The thing that I realized over time is there's a lot of bad things that happen to good people, and on my birthday, January 15th, 2009, I got a phone call that said, "You need to come and get your son, my middle son, Shane." He was having sort of a meltdown, and so I went over to pick him up, and I was taking him to his mother's home, and we were arguing in the car, and he jumped out on the highway, going 55 miles an hour on the interstate, and I could tell that he was brain dead as I was holding him in my arms, and I just kept telling him that, I'm here. I've always saved you before, no matter what. I can help you. I can help you. And then they took him, and that was it, And
It's tough.
that has
That's tough.
that destroyed me. I mean, destroyed me. But the only thing that I kept thinking of at the time was, I can either succumb to this and get in the bottom of a whiskey bottle, or but I have two other boys that I have to be there for. And I have people that love me, that I know of, and I know that I've just got to pull my bootstraps up again and take the lessons that I learned from playing football the way we did, and overcome the kind of pain that was. But that was that devastated me.
Yeah.
And we all have children, and if you can think about your children passing away and having a terrible accident and in your arms like that, it's sobering.
Yeah.
And see, that's something we don't really want to talk about, mental health. It's I got a therapist I go see every 2 weeks, and now more men are starting to talk about it.
Right.
Because that's the worst thing we can do is just keep it in and bottle it up, and not have an outlet. And man, Steve, my heart go out to you. I just can't imagine what you went through, but knowing God has still got you here.
Yeah.
Got us sitting around here. We can smile about Bobby's hair. He won't put any dark grisham in his hair and make you laugh.
No, we're talking about the Rogaine commercial.
The Rogaine commercial.
But white hair means you have a lot of wisdom.
A lot of wisdom.
The families, they expect you to compartmentalize all that
No
stuff.
matter what, yeah.
I can remember one of my favorite grandmother, my grandma Bertie Hebert. My dad's mom, and she'd always cook for us all the time and everything. And I remember her passing away. I was at her deathbed, and we were playing the preseason game. Coach Moore was like, "Well, Bobby, do you want to play, whatever?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll play," and all that. I was kind of feeling sorry for myself, and I'm not. But my grandmother was so close; it just passed away. And I remember at the beginning of the game, I got the crap knocked out of me. And I said, man, the Redskins, they could care less. My grandma just died. And so my grandma was so tough, and she loved football. She'd have been like, come on.
Get in there.
You better get in there and fight. So that all of a sudden it clicked. And then it was almost that acceptance to go and play, and not woe is me and all that stuff. Because then it's all about, too, what players learn to do, compartmentalize.
There's an ebb and flow to the stories, the memories. There's an appreciation for what the adversity of football has done to them, meant to them, and shaped them. And there is a call for accountability to a sport, a culture, and a league that has left them battered.
For all of you guys, what was the one moment on the field that made you wonder, is this all worth it?
One of my aha moments was we were playing the Raiders one time, and I think I told Bobby about this. After a big hit, you still hear it in the crowd when somebody get hit, everybody ooh.
Oh, yeah.
You get people high five. Well, I was covering a receiver from the Raiders on a seam route. Ron Brown, I think his name was, he was a sprinter in the Olympics, fast.
Used to be with the Rams.
Yeah. And we talked about, hitting your head on the turf.
Right.
Well, Frank Watler hit him. When Frank hit him, his head hit the turf. And the first thing I did was like a fan, like, whoa, great hit, Frank. But then I looked at him. When I looked at his body, he looked like he was dead. Honestly. And I just felt like, that can't be right. And then he started moving a little bit, but he didn't move for a while. And I'm like, that was one of the vicious hits I ever seen. When I first thought it was just nice, big clean hit, and you all psyched. But then it was like, ooh.
I remember Hobie Brenner, our tight end, at San Francisco getting hit by Ronnie Lott and hit him like square into the chin after just full speed. And
He would run through you too.
he was flat on his back and he was posturing. And I was like, oh man,
That ain't good.
this is not like a concussion I get every play. This is like a really, really, really bad concussion, like boxer knocked out concussion type stuff. And I thought, golly, that was terrible. I'm gonna have to sick Eric Martin on him. But like I said before, there was so many times that I remember watching film on Monday when we would watch film early, and there was one time I was running down the field, and I was running like diagonal down the field, like a dog tracking down the field. As I was running, I was kind of running down the field, and then I fell down, and I kept on thinking, man, I can't get my feet, What's wrong with my feet? I feel like there's something on the bottom of my feet. And I was borderline unconscious is what it was. And I just got in the huddle and then, Trapillo's next to me going, Jumbo, you okay? You okay? You all right? Can you hear me? And then Brad's on the other side going, Steve, it's on 2. You got that? I'm like, yeah, I got on 2. And I'd get up the line, and I'd be like, oh, crap. So I'd put my hand on my back, and I'd ask Bobby to give me the thing. I'd either have I'd be like, if I patted my backside, he'd say, Tuesday, or Monday, whatever it was.
Yeah,
I was
like it was 1, 2, 3.
But it never made, at that point, I'm thinking, this happens all the time. I'm just used to that. You just shake this stuff off
Shake it off.
Have a couple of cold beers and a couple of Viking on the way home, and I'll be okay.
A year after his retirement in 1995, Frank Warren received a shocking diagnosis of a severe blockage in his heart.
I was angry because I'm like, you played 13 years in the NFL and you go undiagnosed with a heart condition.
Because he could run, he could
Yes.
jump, he could block,
Yep.
he could
Mhm.
tackle.
Big,
That's
strong
all they
guy.
cared.
Yes,
and that was it.
exactly. So I mean, and that was the ending of his career. So and and it basically, of course they did the stints. We were talking earlier, and we were talking about some of the things that they was. And the thing about it, no shade to the NFL, but they knew about. They did a study.
Or they didn't want to know. So
No,
a lot of
they knew.
Some stuff they didn't want to know because
they
if
knew.
they did enough research, they would know.
CTE, on the minds of players like Court, Jakes, and Hebert, wasn't even a discussion point when Terrell's husband Frank died in 2002 of a heart attack. She's convinced it plagued him too.
People like, oh, your husband played in the NFL. No. You should be doing well. No.
Yeah, he played NFL in the 80s.
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
Different-
and
different game.
then unfortunately you died before they found out about CTE. So yeah, you can't. How you prove wrongful death? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and you guys probably it's a lot of. So when I talk to players, and I'm like, and we talk about certain things, they say, wait, what? Didn't know anything about the CTE because I'm quite sure if I knew it existed, I'm quite sure I would have done an autopsy. But I didn't know anything about it.
Knowing what I know now, and we got a son that plays, you got it, like Bobby, you get knocked out and you're going to play the next week. I got knocked out a couple times. There's no time off, so your head doesn't recover. So I know a lot of guys would have been around longer if we'd had some of these checks in place.
I know this.
For a fact.
I know this, that like, even as we practice, and me talking about, Sam Mills knocking my brains out in practice.
That's a concussion.
That's a concussion.
That's a concussion.
And that was, every time I took a rep against Sam, that was a concussion,
Goal line.
Not to mention against Frank Warren or Jumpy Geathers or Bruce Clark or, you know, any of those other guys, Tony Elliott or any of them that, I mean, these are all big, giant, strong dudes that were hitting me in the head on every single play. We had a play that I was supposed to reach the two technique and a goal line. Okay, remember and snap it and then, reach. And I snapped the ball and I went completely the wrong way. I went left. And the nose tackle stood there and Dalton ran right by me into the end zone. But it wasn't my fault. I went over the sideline and my backup, Joe Hilgenberg, says, "Hey Jumbo, yeah, you went left." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you went left." I said, "Man, I can't even see straight. I mean, I can't even walk straight." You know, and
Well, you know, the NFL though, they are trying to do it better now. Like, I feel fortunate I had 11 concussions in 15 years, but never more than one in a year. Like, you look at like Troy Aikman, Steve Young, I think they had a concussion, you get another one 2 or 3 weeks. Now, like in 1989, I got on my front teeth knocked out, knee under my face mask. We were playing in Tampa. And now they make you miss 5 or 6 weeks. And I think the collective bargaining agreement with the players has really helped out. Like, we used to go 12 straight days and two-a-days and not have a day off. Now they go, they have one practice and they can't practice more than 3 days in a row. So I think they're doing the right thing now. But back then, you had to play hurt, or they just go get somebody else.
They'll put your back up and then you'll never get your job back.
Yeah, so the pressure to play.
That's the key word right there, Bob, pressure, because I remember breaking my big toe. I go to the doctor, and I said, "Doc, what do you think?" He said, "Yeah, it's broke all right." I said, "What do you think? Can I play?" He said, "How much pain can you take?"
The team pressure, to me, to get back on the field was, the pressure that I put on myself was far greater than that.
I agree.
But
I agree.
knowing that part of that was what my team expected out of me was the utmost importance. I would do anything not to let those guys down, those other 11 guys, or the other 11 guys that were on defense. I just could not let them down. I was expected to play no matter what.
And you know, we would need somebody to help us from ourselves. You know, somebody
come and save you, pretty much.
Somebody say no.
Can't do it.
You just can't go.
Not this game.
You can't go. That's what we needed.
I don't have any regrets. I would do football again. It enabled me to have an unbelievable lifestyle. My son, T-Bob Hebert, we can't get more Louisiana than that, played at LSU, started 37 games, went with the St. Louis Rams in 2012. You know, and my youngest son played at Nicholls State right here in Thibodaux. I have no regrets. You always say like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let my son or my grandson kids play football." No, I love football. It's in my blood. I would never. I mean, even all what has happened, you know, good or bad and all that, all I know that I would not have had the life that I've had if it wouldn't have been football. So that's why I'm not gonna poo-poo NFL or pro football.
We had 4 babies, you know, so my children, you know, my daughter was 10 months. She never met her dad. No, ain't much know her dad, you know, but at the same time, you know, when my husband talked about this game, the love for this game, he wouldn't have changed it. He said he wouldn't have changed it, but it did change our lives, you know, and it hurt to know that it took so long for you guys to, and I'm glad you guys are here. You know, I wish that they could have did something earlier to prevent, if that makes sense, you know, for all of it, for all of you guys. Times like this is good because you don't want the same thing that happened to you happen to someone else. So when I get a chance, I try to share my story.